episode 6, Lady Vic. And it's very interesting that they focused on Lady Vic specifically in the title because this episode had a lot of character development from a lot of people. So so we got to break this one up. All right, so we're gonna start with Barbara Gordon and young Richard Gillian Grayson. So we go back 6 years to where I guess this is before Barbara became Batgirl, where she was going through the phase of being the daughter of the commissioner, and she was obviously rich and living in high society, and she was bored, and she was doing this whole thing where, to spite daddy, she was and trying to live on the wild side and try to be dangerous. She was going out actually committing crimes and stealing things, and she wanted to see how she can get away with it, how much she can get away with, before her dad catches her and the GCPD catches her. So it takes us to where she breaks into this into this museum, this diamond mine or whatever, and then she goes to steal some precious jewels. Robin, because Dick was Robin at the time, 6 years ago, Robin shows up and tries to stop her. The two of them get into it, and then he realizes that it's Barbara Gordon. He's like, holy shit, what are you doing here? And then they get into this whole big conversation. Now, I find it very interesting that while they were talking, because Dick had said to her, he was just like, listen, if you want an adrenaline rush, if you want to go out there and try to do something, he said, you could always join me and Batman out in the field. And at that point, I was just like, wait, so she knows that Bruce is bad because he actually because that's what she said. Because Barbara was like, oh, she was like, you think I need to be? She said, you want me to be out there with you and Bruce? And I'm like, how we out here spilling the beans that that Bruce Wayne is Batman, And then they had a little thing where he was like, oh, you can go out and be Robin Girl, and then she was like, what about Batgirl? But then here's the weird thing though. The crazy thing, and maybe he just did it because he liked her, maybe he did it just to keep an eye on her. But the crazy thing about it is, when she told Dick that she didn't want to join him and Batman on the crusade, and she was just like, oh, I just want to keep, stealing things and keep robbing rich people and pushing the envelope, Dick ended up joining her and doing the shit with her. So I was just like, bro. And that also says to me, because they pulled off a lot of jobs, they stole a lot of stuff. And that says to me that if they were able to get away with it for as long as they did, Bruce completely knew about it, and he just chose not to take them down because he wanted to see what the hell they were doing. Because, he's best friends with Jim Gordon, so he's not going to bust his daughter. And then he probably figured maybe they'll just return the jewels or whatever. But Bruce definitely knew that the two of them were doing that shit. And then during the course of them doing what they were doing, they fell in love, they had relations, and then they became an item. Dick actually really had feelings for her, and he was telling her that he was like, he's like, you and I make sense, and then the two of them went to go pull off one, I guess I assumed it was one last job, and they were trying to steal a diamond from someplace. And then when they went to go steal the diamond, two other criminals showed up, which was Lady Vic and I guess some other dude who was her boyfriend. So all four of them get into this big fight or whatever. And then after they got into the fight, the boyfriend acts like Lady Vic threw a knife. I guess he threw a knife at Barbara, and then Barbara ducked, and then the knife accidentally hit her boyfriend, and Lady Vic accidentally killed her own boyfriend. And then after that, Dick picked up Barbara, and the two of them fled the scene before the cops showed up. So now, Lady Vic now, she's trying to get her revenge. So present day now, we're back in Gotham. Lady Vic showed up because now she's working for Crane. Because Crane and Jason got into it because Jason was just like, yo, I'm the Red Hood, I'm running things. And then Crane was like, you ain't running shit, you do what I say. And then he brought Lady Vic in. He allowed Jason to watch Lady Vic kill a bunch of, nurses and doctors. And then Crane told him, he was just like, I apologize for the confusion. He was like, you don't run shit around here. And then he was like, yo, you could be replaceable. And he said, I brought this girl in, and Lady Vic, she'll take your place anytime. So just know that before you step out of line, bitch. And then, and then Jason got mad, and then he walked away. Jason now, he's pissed because Jason's like, yo, we were supposed to do something. Because Jason's whole thing was he wanted to go kill Dick. And then Crane was just like, no, he was like, there's a bigger plan. So Jason now he didn't want to be told what to do. He went rogue and decided to do his own thing. He ended up busting up the drug house where Crane was making the non-fear toxin. And then he stole a bunch of it, and he went to go push it out on the streets. Lady Vic now, she was sent to do a job by Professor Crane. And during the job that she was doing, she wanted to, exact her revenge on Barbara Gordon. So she comes up with this whole device where she mimicked Bruce's voice, calling Barbara and telling Barbara hey, this is Bruce, I want you to come down and meet me at the spot where it all took place, where it all happened. And I'm like, first of all, one, Barbara can't be that stupid. Two, how does Lady Vic now know that Bruce Wayne is Batman? I'm like, who's like, well, no, I guess she knows because Crane told her because Jason told Crane. So I'm just like, the cat is literally out of the bag. And there was a Selena Kyle reference in the beginning, which was funny. So then Barbara goes down to go meet Bruce. And then when she gets there, she realizes that she's been had. And then Lady Vic shows up and then she's like, oh, it's time to exact my revenge. And then she was like, the Joker should have finished you off when he severed your spine or whatever. And I'm, so now I'm just kind of like, how long was she actually Batgirl? Because we saw in the beginning she was going around getting her Selena Kyle on, robbing jewelry banks and all this other stuff. And then now like now that she's in a wheelchair, there was even a moment where her and Dick had a conversation where Dick was just trying to get both of them on the same page. And then he said to her, he was just like, yo, in order for us to find Crane, he said we need the Oracle program or the Oracle computer. And then she was like, no, she was like, I locked away Oracle and Oracle's never coming out. So I'm just like, so at what point were you actually Batgirl? And when you did become Batgirl, how long were you actually Batgirl? Because it honestly seems like she was only Batgirl for a year. And she did all this other stuff around that. But anyway, so now, so now like she's back in the alley and Lady Vic is in the alley and then she's like, hey, it's time to get my revenge. And then Lady Vic goes to kill Barbara, who's currently in a wheelchair. And this is the part where I actually developed some respect for Barbara Gordon. Barbara Gordon bust out the batons and I don't know where she hit him at, but then she bust Lady Vic's ass in a wheelchair. I was just like, and I think the reason why, like me specifically, why I put respect on her name and I ended up like liking her character more in that moment. It's because like I'm a huge fan of Batgirl. Like I like Batgirl. I don't like Oracle. I like Batgirl. And in that moment I was like, yo, this is some Batgirl action. It's like, so this is that, and that was cool. That was cool. And to the point where Lady Vic, but then like during like Lady Vic, when Lady Vic realized she couldn't beat her, she ended up like flashing a light in her face and then she used that moment to get away. She goes back to Crane and then she was just like, well, I didn't get a chance to kill her, but she was like, the mission was obtained still. And then the flash of light that she put into Barbara's face, she used to actually take Barbara's picture. And now Crane has like a facial scan of Barbara Gordon. I assume he's going to create like a false face and put it on Lady Vic and have Lady Vic pretend to be Batgirl and try to like besmirch the name of Barbara Gordon. I think that's where we're going. I feel like that's where we're going with it, but we shall we shall see. So Crane, but Crane's whole thing is, like I said, he's just trying to like pick apart, like Gotham saviors one by one. So we'll see what happens. And, we'll see what happens with that whole thing. So now the coriander, the Tamaranian portion of the episode, because we saw like 2 episodes ago, Starfire had rescued Blackfire. So she brings Blackfire back to the mansion, and just as I knew, this was awesome comedic gold because Blackfire was just like, oh, your chambers are very quaint, and and then Superboy came in and she was like, oh, this is my manservant, have him washed and prepared immediately. She was just being so stuck up about the whole thing, and then like Starfire, she was just like, no, that's not how things work. She was like, we're Titans, we're a team, and then and then Dick showed up, and then Dick was just like, yo, who this bitch? And then she was like, oh, that's my sister. And he was like, the one that killed your boyfriend and tried to kill you. And then she was like, yep. And Dick was like, alrighty then. So anyway, he said, we got some stuff we got to do with Crane in them. So because after Lady Vic had killed all those doctors and nurses, Corey and Dick went to go investigate. But then they got cock-blocked because Barbara had told GCPD don't let Corey or Dick Grayson in on the crime scene. So then they tried to find another way to go about it. Connor, Beast Boy, Blackfire, and Starfire, they ended up going down to like a different warehouse to go scope things out. So because again, they were trying to get information on the streets. Blackfire wanted to help, and then Corey was just like, no, because I can't trust you. And then Corey and Gar ended up going to investigate on their own. Meanwhile, Blackfire and Superboy had a conversation about like Tamaran versus, like Krypton. And then, Blackfire had even said to Corey at one point, she was like, listen, if you want to find information about Crane, stop going into these warehouses and you got to hit the streets. Because remember, Blackfire is a criminal, so she knows how criminals think. She was like, yo, you got to hit the streets and you got to talk to the low-life scum of Gotham. But then Corey was just like, just shut up, sit there and let me do what I do. And then Blackfire, she got out the car and she dipped. Like she ended up going on the other side of the tracks. Starfire went looking for her. She didn't find her. And then when they came back to the mansion and Starfire found her at the mansion, Blackfire was like, oh, I hit the streets. I cracked a few skulls. And she was like, I found the information information that you desperately needed. She's like, it turns out that, Crane's in bed with the mob, and there's one mobster who's not happy about it. And she said, that's the person that we need to talk to in order to find out the information we need to find out about Crane. And then Starfire kind of got mad for a second, and then she was just like, oh, and then Blackfire was like, you're only bothered because now that I'm here amongst your Titan friends. She was like, you're not mad, that I ran away. You're mad that I came back. Because she was like, if I can't, she said the only way you can be the good sister is for me to be the bad sister. And right now she's not being bad. She's actually helping. And like she was saying, I think it's pissing Corey off more that Blackfire is actually being useful than it is that she's out there being bad and like fighting crime, so but she's helping for now, but we all know there's a double cross coming because that's how Blackfire get down. And then finally, and this is where my eyes kind of like lit up a little bit. After Jason had stolen all like the non-fear toxin, he found some punks on the street. He sold it to them and he gave it to them. Like the kids, they ended up, like ingesting it. And then like now they have no fear. So now they're going to wreak havoc and destroy things and pillage and do all this other stuff. But the place that they decided to cause havoc and to wreak havoc in was the diner that Tim Drake and his family works at. So they go into the Chinese soul food restaurant on Crenshaw. They go in there, they destroy everything, and they actually shoot, and well, I don't know if he's dead yet, but they shoot Tim's dad. And after they shot Tim's dad, it just shows Jason, he takes a whiff of the non-fear toxin, he throws his hoodie on and he walks away. Meanwhile, Tim Drake is trying to get his dad to wake up, and he's telling somebody to call 911. So, and that's how the episode ended. And now we are on the road to young Timothy, young Drake becoming the new Robin. And I want to see how this happens, because clearly, and I said this before, if Bruce isn't in the city, unless Bruce finds out that Tim's dad died, and then Bruce just seeks him out and starts training Tim in the behind closed doors in the shadows, I don't see how Tim becomes Robin. Unless he bumps into Dick, or unless Tim hit. And then it's like, even now, the kid that's playing Tim Drake up until this point, he's a nice kid. He doesn't seem like an angry kid to the point where he's now going to hit the streets and start looking for these punks to get revenge on his daddy. Like, it doesn't seem like it's that type of situation. But we'll see what happens. But I'm definitely interested, and I want to see where this goes. So thank you for tuning in. So leave your questions, comments, and or concerns down below. And they said the whole thing with Lady Vic now, she's on the team. And she's coming for Dick. She's coming for Barbara. We still got the Tamaranian thing going. We still need to go to Tamaran. I'm still waiting for that. Like I said, Red Hood's starting to deviate away from Crane. And now we got the Tim Drake Robin thing. So like I said, thank you for tuning in. Hit me up on Twitter. Hit me up on Instagram. Hit the notification bell. Subscribe to my channel. Because I'm reviewing everything. I'm like all superhero stuff. We got Marvel's What If coming up. DC's Legends of Tomorrow, the season finale coming up. And we got Supergirl and Stargirl coming as well. And again, hit the notification bell so you'll get notified when all those videos pop up. Because we're going through all the superhero goodness, and we're gonna ride the wave to the next one. Thank you for tuning in, guys. And as always, until next time, for some Titans action, take care. And about this